Time once again for another edition of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. With you, as always, Jeff Chadilla from the NFL Network, our man Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. We are projecting exactly what the NFL playoffs are going to be. We're at the halfway point. 9 of the 18 weeks are done. Still buys, some teams through 10, some teams through just 9 games. But we're going to go ahead and project exactly what the playoffs will be as we see it. We've predicted each of the games that matter. And we have records, divisional records, conference records. We applied the tiebreakers. You will now know exactly what the playoffs are going to be right here on the Red, Gold, and Bold.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadilla, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadilla is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadilla, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. Off and running here on a Tuesday. Remember, if you're catching us via the podcast, you can be a part of the conversation. Catch us live as we go at 9:30 p.m. every Tuesday night. Talking tonight, guys, about what the playoffs will be. We're halfway through the season, 18 weeks in the regular season. We're projecting it. We always like to go top to bottom, so that whoever we've got the highest, we can make the strongest argument for. So we've got that part of the equation baked into the goods. Let's start at number 1. Jeff, I'll give you the honors. Who did you have as your 1 seed when it was all said and done?
I had the Colts, 13-4, Indianapolis Colts. I feel like they've been probably the most consistent of the teams that I'm considering for this spot. I think they're in a great place if they're able to beat the Chiefs. I think their division is starting to get a little weaker here. I think Jacksonville's come back to earth. That they can beat Houston. Really, their toughest game coming up here is going to be Seattle, and that is going to be, I think, December 14th. And so I think they're going to be able to
tougher than Kansas City.
Yeah, I think so. I think Seattle is a better team than Kansas City, but. Yeah, I think that 8-2 right now, I think they're able to get 5 more wins and be 13-4. And so I think just the way I did it, I used the Pro Football Network playoff simulator. I'm not going to ruin my surprises here, but there's a few other teams that are going to have the same record, but they're going to win out by tiebreakers. So
okay. So got a lot of chalk winning coming down the stretch. If you've got multiple teams coming in there at with that kind of record, so that's interesting to note. So the Colts at number 1. Sam, how about you? Where'd you go number 1?
I went with the schedule with the Patriots. The Patriots I have at 13-4. You know, the Colts have the toughest schedule in the NFL remaining. The Patriots, which have had the easiest schedule in the NFL so far, still have the second easiest schedule in the NFL over the last half of the season. And if people want to criticize me for picking the Patriots, I just want to emphasize, like, I am not putting them my number 1 in the power rankings. I don't think the Patriots are the best team. I don't think they're even one of the 3 best teams in the AFC. They might not be one of the 4 best teams in the AFC, but like, go take a look at their schedule. They've got the Bills and Ravens, which they've already beaten the Bills, but like, say those are their 2 losses. That gets them to 4. They play the Jets, Bengals, Giants, Jets, and Dolphins. Are there other games? It's hard to find 3 more losses on that Patriots schedule. And they're the only team that I have at 13-4.
You know, It's decision time for me. I mentioned to you guys, I did this two ways. I had an either or on where I could go. And so do I go Homer and make everybody happy in the chat room? I'm torn. I'm really torn because I've got one scenario that has the Chiefs finishing as the number 1 seed. I'll just tell you this. I did it. I have 12-5 for the Chiefs, where they go 7-1 in the second half. And I really do think that's a distinct possibility. The fact that they get the Colts at home helps in that game. I think Denver's showing some warts. I think Denver seems to be getting worse as Bo Nix gets worse. But Sam talks about schedule. I mean, the schedule of the Broncos is so easy. I mean, it really is. And there's no scenario that the Chiefs win the AFC West without sweeping the Denver Broncos. I can say that. They have to put 2 losses on the Denver Broncos to get there. But if I'm honest with myself, this team has been 5-4 for a reason. The flaws that were there, the flaws that showed themselves against a Bills team that clearly is not unbeatable, are clearly still a part of the equation. So I'm gonna take the path of my Chiefs, not getting the number 1 seed, and my number 1 seed is the Denver Broncos at 13-4.
Wow,
and I hate it. I hate it. But the schedule that the Denver Broncos have coming up, they have the Chiefs. I'm giving them a loss there. At Washington is a win. I think they're in reverse. At Raiders, win. Packers, loss. Jacksonville, win. And then I've got them beating the Chiefs in Kansas City at the end. Really, you can flip-flop that either way. I don't care. Maybe they win here. But
I don't think that's that easy. They have the 7th hardest schedule in the NFL remaining.
You think Washington? Yeah, I get why, but what is going to actually line up for Washington and with the mindset of Washington?
Washington's not one of the hard games. I mean, Washington is.
You think Jacksonville is hard?
20th in DVOA. I think playing the Chiefs twice is hard. Green Bay is hard, and the Chargers are hard, and that's half your games.
Chargers at home, Green Bay at home. One of the Chiefs games is at home.
Yeah, but if you split those 2 games, you're still talking about only 4 losses, right?
If you would split the Chiefs and then split which ones, Green Bay and the Chargers,
those 4 toughest games you're still
only at 4 losses.
Yeah, I don't have them sweeping that, but then also, why? I guess you're assuming they're going to win in Vegas when they just barely beat Vegas at home. You're assuming they're going to win in Washington. You're assuming they're going to beat the Jaguars as well. I mean,
we're assuming
that's what we're doing here.
That's what we're doing on every single game.
Well, I understand.
So we're assuming wins. We're picking all the games.
Right, and I'm pointing out the fact that I'm assuming the opposite on those games.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But
that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, the purpose of the exercise was to not just pick a record, right? If I were to pick a record, I would bring the Denver Broncos in at 12-5. That's the record I think they're actually going to be. But that was the purpose of going through and picking each game, is because when you pick each game, you can be it. And listen, I think which one's going to be more accurate. Probably just assigning the record you think they're going to get to will be more accurate. But finding the path where they get there is like figuring out who do the Raiders trip up, right? Does Jacksonville barf on their shoes at Tennessee? Is there actually a win there for them? Like picking those games, none of us are going to pick that. And then that's the whole exercise. And then when they do happen, it's going to show it up. But I do think, listen, Denver's won ugly, but what's better? An ugly win against a bad Jet team or a loss against the Jaguars, a loss to the Bills? I mean, they're still finding a way to win. I mean, and the Broncos really screw things up for the Chiefs. So the idea that the Chiefs are going to sweep them, I think it's entirely possible. I won't be shocked if the Chiefs win both games by 10 points. But right now they're 5-4, right? And the Broncos are 8-2, and there is some good teams find a way to win close games.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's better to win close games than it is to lose those games. But what's a better indicator for the future is the fact that they're not a good team. They haven't played good football this year. I mean, I mentioned this on your radio show today, Sren, but I mean, the quarterbacks that they played is Cam Ward by one possession. They played Jake Browning. They played Justin Fields. They played Davis Mills.
Well,
and they knocked out CJ Stroud. They played.
Well, do you want me to do that for New England?
And they played.
I mean, for New England because it looks exactly the same. That's the point.
No, it doesn't, because what looks different is New England's back half of the schedule doesn't have Patrick Mahomes twice. It doesn't have Love. It doesn't have Herbert.
They've got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
And those are, and I gave them losses for both those games. And that's why I still only have them with 4 losses, because their other games are Justin Fields twice, Jake Browning, Russell Wilson, and Tua. Like those are the rest of their games on their schedule.
What was the record you had for the Patriots?
I've got them at 13-4, so I've got them with 2 losses the rest of the way.
Okay.
I also do think the Patriots are a better team than the Broncos. Now, I think that's probably splitting hairs. I think their offense is better considerably, and I think their defense is worse. But what I was going to say on the back end of what the Denver point is, their offense has had the second most advantageous schedule in the NFL so far. Their offense has played the second easiest schedule. Forget the quarterbacks they played like. And their offense isn't doing anything. You know, the Broncos lead the NFL in punts this year, playing the second easiest offensive schedule in the league. They lead the league in punts. And so I totally agree with you that record-wise, that's the only reason I wouldn't have the Broncos as a playoff team if they weren't 8-2, because I don't think they're one of the 7 best teams in the AFC. But you're right; those wins matter. They are winning. They are winning these close games, and you've got to have them in the mix somewhere because of that.
All right, so we got 3 different teams finishing as the 1 seed. The 2 seed, then this is going to be interesting as well. Then, Jeff, where do you go with the 2 seed?
Broncos.
Okay.
13-4.
Get him, Sam. Get him.
I already did. I'm all out.
13-4. I mean, I feel like everything Sam said is true about the offense, but their defense is elite. And when you have an elite defense, that makes things a lot easier for you to deal with some of those problems. They don't have to play through Bo Nix. As much as we talk about quarterback play, they can win games without him playing at a high level. And they just did that last week. They got 46 sacks through 10 games. They've got an all-pro, Pro Bowl player at every level of their defense. The J.K. Dobbins foot injury, whatever that is a little bit of concerning because he's a big part of what they're doing. But I have to imagine Sean Payton can figure out some things offensively. He did it last year with Bo Nix coming down the stretch. If they take care of the football and they're able to manufacture some points and get some clutch plays, they're going to win games. I got them splitting with the Chiefs. I have them. I think I had Green Bay beating them, but I think the only way they get to 12-5 is if they end up letting that last game of the year just not meaning anything. But I think it's going to mean something for the top seed, so I have them 13-4.
That is one thing. It doesn't look like anybody's going to get that last week off.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to. It looks like you're going to have to play all the way through. The one thing I will stay, because it's kind of on the tail end of my Broncos conversation. I actually think if Dobbins is down, getting Harvey on the field, who has been a big play guy, particularly in the passing game, and is more the speed guy. I keep waiting for him to be the Alvin Kamara.
Yeah,
Sean Payton, because I think he's got that kind of ability, and they drafted him in a round. They drafted him higher than he took Alvin Kamara with the Saints. I think that's true. I might be wrong. Didn't Kamara go in the 3rd, or did he go in the
3rd rounder?
This kid went in the 2nd round, so he clearly saw something in him. But I think getting him more involved may diversify their offense a little bit better. All right, so you've got Denver at 13-4. Sam, where do you go for number 2?
I go with the Chiefs at 12-5.
Man, you guys are drinking the Chiefs Kool-Aid, huh?
Hold on.
Can
Can I pick them before I get
pretty
grabbed
good
on?
team.
Yeah. That's right. You backed off on it.
Yeah.
You had the top seed.
The Chiefs have the number 1 offense in the league over the last 6 weeks. They have the number 1 passing offense in the league over the last 6 weeks. Their schedule is slightly easier on the back half than it is in the front half. I think they'll probably play the Broncos without Pat Surtain once. I think the next week they'll play the Colts without DeForest Buckner, who's about one of the only guys. They got Sauce Gardner now, but through the first half of the season, about the only guy on that defense you feared. And so I've got him getting the tiebreaker over the Colts, which is a spoiler alert for what I have the Colts record, but I've got him at 12-5 and beating the Colts head-to-head.
Are they more likely to be 10-7 or to be 13-4, which would be 8-0 versus 5-3? Which one is more likely for the Chiefs?
I would pick. Well, obviously, I'd pick neither. You're asking me more likely. I'd pick 13-4 before I pick 10-7.
Okay, Jeff.
10-7.
Okay. I mean, I think that's kind of the mark, because, like, I honestly do think I'm with what Sam just said there on the Chiefs. I do think the schedule, it's not easy, but like I said, Indianapolis at home, I think all that looks good. They
will be favored. I'm actually picking them to get upset. They will be favored. We all went through this exercise the same with the tool that Jeff sent us and picking game by game. Like, I had to pick them to get upset in one of those games. They will be favored in every game on the back half of their schedule.
I did not use the simulator. I just used good old fashioned Excel spreadsheets.
Handwriting? Did you really? Okay.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And it's why the invite went out late tonight because I was grinding on it. All right. So for my number 2 seed in this scenario, I have the New England Patriots. I do not have obviously the Chiefs winning the division, so they can't come up until later on. But I have the New England Patriots. I think the schedule is by far the driving on that, but I'm actually higher on them as a team.
What's the record?
What's
by
the
way?
record? Yeah.
I got them at 12-5.
Okay.
Coming in as the number 2 seed.
So that puts them 4-3 the rest of the way.
It puts them at 4-3. Losses at Baltimore, a loss at home to Buffalo, and I have them losing at Cincinnati. Right.
Okay.
But I think they're just as likely to get tripped up somewhere by maybe the Dolphins late, maybe a Giants team with Dart having a day. I do think that they are susceptible to a bad team beating them because I think they're just extremely well coached. I think Drake May is playing at a high level, but at some point he's still young and somebody's ought to have a gotcha moment for him. But I still have them coming in, and the key is that they get the tiebreaker in the division against the Buffalo Bills. That's a key point.
Even if they lose the next game to the Bills, do they still have it?
Yes, because the Bills come home, it goes to division record, and the Bills are 4-2.
Lost to the
they're
Dolphins.
5-1. Yeah.
Okay.
So that Dolphin loss is critical to the Buffalo Bills. So that's what really, when I did this last week before last week's games, I had those two flip-flopped. I had Buffalo 1 and up at 13-4. This brought them both down to 12-5, and now Buffalo loses the tiebreaker to New England. So I think it's going to be tough. New England or Buffalo is the lock for the 5. Right, you have one winning it, you have the other one at the 5. Yeah. I think that part is pretty clear for all of us here. All right, we got more we want to get to. Obviously, still the rest of the divisions or the rest of the seedings 3 through 7 to make our way through. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, number 3 seed as we go. Jeff, you got Indy 1, Denver 2. Who's number 3?
My third 13-4 team, the New England Patriots. And they, for whatever reason, because of the simulator I did, they lose the tiebreakers to the Colts and the Broncos. So they end up being the 3rd seed. But like Sam said, like you've said, their schedule really comes down to, I have them losing to the Bills and the Ravens, and that's it the rest of the way. I think they're going to be a pretty solid bet to be 13-4. They actually may get to 13 wins by week 14. The way it's playing out for them. They've got such an easy run here. But they're well coached. The defense is better than people thought it was going to be at this stage. Drake May's playing at a high level. If Travion Henderson can be an explosive back for them, that's another dimension they didn't have before. They're good in special teams. I feel pretty safe with them winning the AFC East right now.
It's their conference record is their problem. Their losses are in conference, and so they've got a lower conference record is what trips them up into that kind of tiebreaker scenario. They get by Buffalo because they have the divisional record is better.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of their conference record, they get tripped up outside of that. So they're going to lose in any kind of, tiebreakers where it comes down for the conference. That's interesting. Okay, so New England, 3rd team at 13-4. Sam?
I've got the Colts at 12-5 as the number 3 seed. To be honest, I'd pick the Colts at 11-6 before I'd pick 13-4, and I actually think they're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
But like I said, they have the toughest schedule left in the NFL. But since I have them placed behind these two teams, losing to the Chiefs and therefore losing that tiebreaker on the number 2 seed, based on the fact that that number 4 seed's the AFC North winner, and this is telegraphing a little bit, but it's not going to matter whether it's 12-5 or 11-6. Both of those line up with the number 3 seed in my simulator.
Yeah, I've got Indy at 3rd at 11-6. I've got them losing at Kansas City. I've got them losing at Jacksonville, and I've got them losing at Seattle to get the losses. Do I need to give them another one? And at Houston. At Houston. I've got them losing at Houston at the end. Look, I might be a little low on the Colts, but it's Daniel Dimes. Come on. Pumpkin, midnight. At some point, reality's going to settle in.
Hey.
And listen, I think if you're a fan of any team not named the Colts and your team and somebody said you're not going to be the 1 seed, and then they said, well, pick which team you get, but you won't be the 1 seed, but you can pick whoever the 1 seed is. I would pick the Colts. Like, that's the team that I have no problem. Like, if I'm the Chiefs, it's same old, same old. You know, we're going to get to Baltimore, I assume, at some point here, but it's Baltimore and Buffalo, and bring on all the rest. That's the one thing as I look at this. I don't think there's anything to fear.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that they will win, right? They can go to Indianapolis and lose. The Chiefs can go to Buffalo and lose.
You'd have them go to Denver is what you have.
Go to Denver and lose, you know. But I think the teams you fear are still the two best quarterbacks, the other 2 quarterbacks.
Can I ask you, Sren, based on what you said? I mean, I'm not using this to compare the teams in full scope, but you mentioned Daniel Jones. Would you rather have him or Bo Nix right now?
I'd rather have Daniel Jones because of the experience. That's a good point.
Jeff?
Yeah, Daniel Jones.
And I know you guys picked. I know you guys picked the Broncos because of the defense. So I'm not saying this is.
But the Colts defense is pretty good too. I mean,
it's okay. It's not what Denver is. I mean, I know that's why you guys
really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got Taylor. I think the Broncos have a better offensive line, but I'm just saying that's the Colts have better other playmakers, I think, around Jones as well. It's not just the quarterback. They've got Taylor. I think they've got better receivers than I think that the Broncos do.
I agree. And I think that might be the only reason why Daniel Jones looks better right now. But I do think that there is some untapped, like I said. I think Harvey is a talent, and I think there's untapped potential in him if they can get him involved in Denver. But your point's a good one. I mean,
the Broncos have a better defense. Like I said, I'm not at all saying this is hypocritical for you guys picking the Broncos. I mean, you guys did not pick the Broncos because of Bo Nix. You picked them because their defense is really good. But that is something that I think will come into play when you look at matchups: is who's the better quarterback.
Well, that's I was going to say the whole point. Like, Sam Darnold's a perfect case of this. They won 14 games, didn't win in the playoffs, but this is an exercise about getting to the playoffs, not what's going to happen once we're actually playing games in the postseason.
But I think it's a great point when you bring up the quarterback, because Justin Herbert, this is the Chiefs' schedule. Justin Herbert, loss. Jalen Hurts, loss. Russell Wilson, win. Lamar, win. Trevor Lawrence, loss. That's the one that doesn't make sense. You know, basically you can look at the quarterbacks, and whoever the better quarterback is, that's the fight, right? There are other losses to Josh Allen. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think you can make a case for the Chiefs really getting on a roll, because they're going to face Bo Nix, Daniel Dimes, Dak Prescott, either CJ Stroud or Davis Mills. Then Herbert will be tough here. Cam Ward, Bo Nix, and Geno Smith. I mean, that's the reason that you feel like, okay, this team can really get on a roll here. All right, so that was on me on Indianapolis. So we go to number 4 for you, Jeff. Who do you got in the 4 seed?
Ravens. Winning the AFC North. 11-6. 11-6.
Okay.
So just one. That's just one loss, right? The rest of the way.
Yeah. It feels like they're inevitable right now. I don't see any real competition when we pull up their schedule. I forget who I had them beating, but I didn't see anybody on there that I felt like they could not beat. I think the toughest game they play the Colts. They play the Colts, right? I think
they play at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh in the season. They do play the Patriots at home.
Maybe it was the Patriots game. That was the.
They have the Steelers twice.
Yeah.
And they have New England at home. They have at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the Patriots game was the toughest game I saw for them coming down the stretch. And look, I think whenever you give a team like that new life, and they've been down in this huge hole, digging out of it. They did it last year. They're still well coached. They still got a great quarterback in Lamar. They've got guys getting healthy. I just think that, they will play with a lot of urgency, and they could be like they were a couple of years ago when they made that run to the number 1 seed, where they just got super hot down the stretch and were just kicking people's asses. I could see them doing a lot of that in the second half of the season.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Jeff said. I think the Ravens are getting ready to get hot because their schedule's the 5th easiest overall. It's hard when you go game by game to find more than 2 losses for sure. But even
Where
2
did
losses,
you put them at?
I've got them at 10-7. But one of those things that I'd pick I battled between 11-6 or 10-7, not between 10-7 and 9-8. And I think by the time that they play Pittsburgh at the end of the season to wrap it up, they'll already have the 4 seed completely locked in. Can't get to 3, can't get to 5. And so therefore I said they're going to rest their starters and lose that game, and they'll be 10-7.
Yeah, I got Baltimore 10-7 as well. And for the same thing, I've got them winning all their games until the last 2 at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh, twofold. One, and you guys doing the simulator was probably, I should have done the simulator as well, because then I would have had to have done it as I went.
Yeah, the computer's better than hand by hand. Yeah,
yeah, that's fine. But looking at it, I know Baltimore is going to win this division, barring a Lamar Jackson injury, right? And I also think that they're really good, and I think they found themselves. Fixed a lot of their problems. Their defense got better last year coming down the stretch. I think that'll happen again here. And so I think they're going to roll along. And I could see the scenario, like you said, where they actually lock it in, but can't get to the 1 seed. And so they just put it on ice. I can absolutely see that scenario occurring. I also think that probably what's going to happen is they're going to spit on themselves like against the Bengals at one time. Joe Burrow's back practicing. They've got Cincinnati in week 13, and they've got them again in week 15.
Yeah, they're the team that gets screwed the most by Joe Burrow potentially getting healthy, by the way. They might have to play him twice.
Yeah. And so I could see them losing that game and still needing it late, but I think they get there. I've got them at 10-7. So I think that's I think that's a pretty good scenario to have them in. All right, let's go to number 5, Jeff. Where are you at with the 5 seed?
Bills, 12-5. Like you said, I think it's a no-brainer. Whoever loses the AFC East is going to be the highest seeded wild card. And as much as people talk about what happened in Buffalo against Miami, like I don't see a whole bunch of losses left on their schedule. I had them losing to Philadelphia in December. I think Houston might get them in a couple of weeks. I think they'll beat Tampa Bay just because they got beat by Miami this past week. But aside from that, when they got Pittsburgh, they got the Bengals. I think they'll beat New England. They got the Jets. I just don't see where there's a lot of really tough opponents out there for them. And they're a strong second half team anyway. They've had, like, I think the last 3 years, like a 5-game win streak, an 8-game win streak, 7-game win. They tend to heat up too, like Baltimore in the second half. And so I trust that more than anything else.
Okay. Sam?
Same thing. I've got the Bills 12-5. I kind of wanted to fade Buffalo. I think they have a lot of flaws. But Jeff mentioned it. I mean, when you just go game by game on the schedule, it's hard to find a lot of losses left. I think they have the 7th easiest schedule overall. So I've got them losing 2 more to be at 12-5.
Yeah, I'm right there. Buffalo 12-5, and that Dolphin game is just such a killer. I mean, when you get into those tiebreakers, it just absolutely kills them. It is a problem for the Bills, and it's also a sign of their own weakness, right? Like, how good do you really think they are? But their schedule too, is one that's manageable. At least Tampa at Houston, they're getting some at Pittsburgh. Like, this is some rough waters. If they're not right mentally, they could knock themselves down from this, though, because this stretch right here, these 3 games, it could be pretty tough for them. So they need to get themselves right. And then they have Cincinnati too, right? Yeah. They got the Bengals in week 14 at New England, but then Cleveland, Philly, and the Jets. Cleveland and the Jets at the end, but Philadelphia in there as well. So their schedule's toughening up there quite a bit along that front. All right, number 6 for you, Jeff. Where do you go?
Chargers at 11-6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, we've got some drama here.
Yeah. We don't know if Jeff's going to pick. That's what I said. I mean, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to make it.
We don't know.
Hey, are they in the playoffs right now?
Don't spoil it yet. Don't spoil it yet.
What? We're just letting the drama build.
Don't even know what team you're talking about.
Yeah,
Talking
I
about
know we
there.
got. I know if we playoff start today, we have one team in Kansas City not in it right now.
That's right. That is a 100% stone cold fact. That is right.
Yeah, but the Chargers, maybe it's recency bias. I was impressed with how they beat up on the Steelers on Sunday night. And I know the Steelers aren't the greatest team ever, but they still got some pretty good guys up front to rush the passer. And they got after Justin Herbert a little bit, but the Chargers played some great defense. They made life tough for Aaron Rodgers, and Jim Harbaugh had a good game plan. They found a way to make enough plays, not just to win the game, but to blow it open. And so that told me that they can deal with some of their issues. We'll see if Trevor Penning can help them solve the offensive tackle issues they have with Joe Alt being gone and Rashawn Slater being out for the season. But I think that they are legitimately going to be in the hunt for a wild card spot, and having that tiebreaker over the Chiefs is big for them. Looking at their schedule, they probably were the toughest team to pick coming down the stretch here. I think I had them losing to Kansas City on the 14th of December, and I had them losing to Philly and winning the rest of the way. And so they got a nice little Jacksonville, Vegas coming up in the next couple of weeks, so they can get to 8-3, and then from there, I think they can find 3 more wins with Dallas, Houston, and Denver at the end. I think Denver might be the game that trips me up, but either way, I think they're going to end up in the 6th seed.
Yeah. Okay. I'll comment on the Chargers when I get to them, because I think, but I agree with everything you say. Jim Harbaugh, that goofy bastard, could coach.
Yep.
Like that's the one thing when you watch. Like he's it's so amazing how like he always has something for people. I think he's great. All right, 6 for you, Sam.
I've got the Chargers, 11-6. I actually think this is one of the teams that under the radar could go south, and it's mostly because Justin Herbert is the most pressured quarterback in the NFL. And I just wonder, like, how many hits can he take, and how different that team looks if Justin Herbert goes down. I mean, and Joe Alt's out for the season, and so those hits are not going to suddenly become less frequent than what he's experiencing right now. And they play a bunch of games on the back end of their schedule that I think could be maybe tough if you're playing, for example, without Justin Herbert, at the Cowboys, at home against the Texans. Like, those games become losable games if Justin Herbert is, let's say, got a high ankle sprain that he might be dealing with right now. So I think the Chargers are a little bit more susceptible for that reason than people are crediting them. But I still have them at 11-6.
Sam's picking games and injuries.
Yeah.
Well, he is injured. I wasn't like project. Like, he is injured. He injured his ankle against the Steelers in that game.
Yeah, that's fair. My number 6 is the Chiefs. I've got them at 11-6. Coming in, and I think 12-5 is probably more likely than 10-7. But like I said to start, when I had to decide, I'm going to take my 12-5 path for the Chiefs or my 11-6 path, and I'll get into some of the interesting things I think could go either way, and interesting games that are there here a little bit later on when we kind of sum everything up. But at 11-6, I've got them losing one of the games against Denver. I went ahead and made it the home game because that seems to be the goofy crap that always happens with this. And then the other loss I have for them, I gave them the loss to Indianapolis just because stopping the run, I think, is going to be a problem for them. I think they've got to play from in front. And I think their offense is good enough to do that. But if they don't get in front, their defense really struggles. And I think that's one of the things. Like, I'm off the elite. You won't hear me talking about the defense being elite for a little bit. I might get back to it at some point. But, when they got down to Buffalo, they just could not get the stops that they needed to get. And the stops look a lot easier when they play from in front, because then the other team's forced to become one-dimensional. So I think there's issues with them. I think they very easily, though, can get to 12-5. And if they do that, they're in play for a lot of different things, right? A lot of things become easier when you start getting into some of the tiebreakers that we can touch on here in a minute. Who's your 7 seed, Jeff?
The Chiefs.
Should we save this?
Do
we want to wait?
Yeah, no, the Chiefs. Chiefs at the record I picked them to be at 11-6 when the season began. And so I've got them splitting with Denver, and I got them losing to the Colts. And that's pretty much – I flirted with the Houston game. I think it's going to be a tougher game than we might think because of Houston's ability to pressure the quarterback, the way they play defense, the way they played defensively against them last year. I think that's a wild card game, but I trust them to get to 11-6. I think that's a pretty safe spot. They might get to 12-5, but they'd have to get red hot and play completely differently than they've been playing in the first 9 games of the season.
How?
And how can they get hot?
Yeah. No, how differently? How do you want them to play?
Consistently. Consistently.
I didn't know if there was a style of football.
No. Consistently. I just think that
Yeah.
I think we're 9 games in and we still don't know what this team is. You know, I think that's a fair assessment. I think the next 2 games will tell us a lot, but I just don't know. I'm not ready to sit here and say they're going to rip off 7 wins in 8 games based on what I've seen already. They look like a team that's probably going to have some moments there where they look good and have some moments when they don't look good. And so for me, that means you're 5-4 first 9 games, you're 6-2 the next 8 games. That sounds about right for what I've seen so far from them.
Okay.
I will say, just because both of you, I had the Chiefs. I'm the only one that has the Chiefs winning the division of the 3 of us, and I will say, like, it's not difficult to come up with a path for the Chiefs not to win the division, even if they beat Denver on Sunday. And it's really difficult to come up with a path for the Chiefs to win the division if they lose that game in Denver. And I know that, you know, like the DVOA metric with Aaron Schatz had the Chiefs at 9% if they lose that game in Denver. I can't get to 9% if they lose in Denver. So your guys' path definitely has more options to ride along than mine does. Like I'm obviously telegraphing what I'm picking on Friday by picking the Chiefs to win the division because I think it's really tough. But I can understand why the Denver pass there, even if I don't think Denver's the better team than the Chiefs. And it's because, like, how many times has Jeff mentioned, this is why 0-2 matters. It's why when you trip up in those first 2 weeks of the season, this is the effect you guys have, is them playing on wild card weekend on the road.
I think even more, it's why statistically dominating the Jaguars and then blowing it.
Losing the game. That's the game. That is the game.
That is the game because the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh, we all just sat here and talked about how legit we think they are. The Eagle, and by the way, they were pretty healthy back then. The Eagles, right? Like there's no shame in losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. Losing to the Jaguars is the game that they're going to regret.
Yes.
That's the one that's the killer because they outplayed them statistically in the game, but didn't get it done. And those are the ones where everyone kept talking about, all the 1-score games are going to go against them. You know, they're going to lose one. Yeah, fine. Yes, it's inevitable, but you don't expect it to be against a first-year coach, a quarterback that's been mediocrity personified. It's fine if it's against Jim Harbaugh, a Super Bowl coach. If it's against a Super Bowl winning coach in Nick Sirianni, Super Bowl winning quarterback in Hurts. You know, it's not fine losing to the Jaguars. That is the killer for this team if they end up having to go on the road for 3 games. That's going to be the reason why when it's all said and done. All right, who do you got at 7, Sam?
I've got the Broncos 11-6, and I've already talked about why I don't have them in first place, but they're 8-2, so like they're going to get into the playoffs.
So, and what did you have, Matt?
I've got them at 11-6, so I've got them at 3-3 the rest of the way.
3 losses are?
I've got them getting swept by the Chiefs and then losing to I think it was the Packers maybe in
Packers at home. Yep, they've got the Packers at home because otherwise the other games would be the Chargers at home, which is possible.
And they lose. They lose. They beat the Chargers, but they get that tiebreaker because the Chargers get the tiebreaker because they beat the Chiefs once and will have a better division record. Therefore, if the Broncos get swept by the Chiefs.
So you got swept by the Chiefs and then losing the Packers and who else?
Packers.
The Packers. That's it.
They have 2 losses.
No, I've got them
losing.
I picked them getting upset. Let me go back through.
At Washington, maybe?
Jeff, does that thing have?
You can go back and find it. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, can I click on their team and go back and find it, or how do I go back and find?
You probably have to go back week by week. If you pick those games, you'd figure out the games that you haven't.
I did. And I've got it sitting here as a 7 seed, 11-6.
2 against the Chiefs, 1 against the Packers, and then either the Chargers or.
Oh, here we go. Here's how I can go back. You can't go by team. You can go week by week, but you can't go by team. I've got them beating the Jaguars.
We got Vegas after that. They got
I've got it
next round.
I've got him getting upset by Vegas.
Oh wow!
Wow.
You gonna put some money on that one?
You want to put some money on the Chiefs going 10-7?
Yeah, I picked them 11-6.
Yeah, he's got it. The Chiefs going 11-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is it that crazy? They barely just beat Vegas.
No,
at
it's
home.
not, because there are going to be.
Yeah, it's almost.
There will
I'm
be.
not going to just pick the favorite in every game on this.
No.
What's the point of doing the predictor? Right?
I'm with you, but I think that's probably the only major upset. But that's what will happen in here. Like, and just to finish mine off, I hate it, but I have Pittsburgh as the 7, and I know you
Holy
hate
crap.
it as well, Sam. I have Pittsburgh at 10-7, and I have a 3-way tie at 10-7 with Pittsburgh, the Chargers, and Jacksonville.
How the Chargers get the tiebreaker with Pittsburgh head to head?
They lose a 3-way tiebreaker.
So who do you have out? Who do you have out?
I have out the Chargers, Jaguars, and Texans. Texans 8-9. Jaguars 10-7, which I hate. Chargers.
Jaguars you have the Jaguars at 10-7.
Yeah.
And the Chargers at 8-9. You said.
Yep.
And you just talking about.
No. The Chargers are at 10-7. The Texans are at 8-9.
Well, how did the Chargers lose the tiebreaker to Pittsburgh? They just beat Pittsburgh.
Because it's a 3-way
tie. Yeah.
That goes out the window.
When I did the wins and losses, like the one thing
he did this by hand. He's got.
I know exactly. Yeah, he has abacus moving beads across.
But I did it by hand, and I did all the games, and
then I will say Sren knows his tiebreakers.
And then I applied all the tiebreakers, and that's how it comes out. And I was really, because when I did this last week, I had the Chargers. I didn't have the Jaguars, and somewhere in here I've given the Jaguars a win I didn't have them having last week, because when it does come down to the two of them, it's the Chargers and Steelers. But as I was like, okay, let me see, where would I back it out? Where would I give them another loss? Right? If I give them a loss to the Chargers, that bumps the Chargers up to 11-6. Right? And I think the Chargers do have some problems. I think they're susceptible. So, like, trying to find a loss, here's what the Jaguars have in getting to 10-7. Since none of you guys have them in there, I think it's worth noting. They have the Chargers at home, okay, which we just said are banged up.
Loss.
Right? And I'm fine with you calling it a loss. Then they go to Arizona.
Loss.
Okay. At Tennessee.
I'll give them a win.
Okay. Indianapolis at home.
Loss.
Jets at home.
Win. Denver
on the road.
Loss.
Colts on the road.
Loss. That's 5.
Titans at home.
Well, they're 5-4 right now. How are they?
That's because I don't have them losing all those games. That's what he has.
Because I was saying loss.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking loss too. It's like you picked. I thought that Raiders over Broncos was a big up. You're picking like 4 upsets in a row.
I've got.
Which of those games? Now those I listed 5 losses. You've got to have them winning 2 of those games, 2 of those 5. Which 2 are
I've got picking upsets.
I know. I'm fine. I'm just saying which 2.
So I've got Jacksonville over the Chargers. I've got then I've got them losing at Arizona, then winning at Tennessee, beating the Colts at home because the Daniel Dimes factor, beating the Jets, losing at Denver, losing at Indianapolis, and beating Tennessee.
So I have no teams with a winning record being left out of the playoffs because I have Houston, Pittsburgh, and Jacksonville all going 8-9.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Which means the only drama on the final week is seeding stuff, which is also why I picked Baltimore to go 10-7 because I think they'll be playing for nothing and resting their dudes.
Well, I'd like to point out, like, tell me the last time Sam has got 4 teams 12-5 or better. I've got 3 teams 12-5 or better. And Jeff he's
got 3 teams at 13 wins.
He's got 3 teams with 13 wins. Like, that's not happening. Let me let you know. That's not happening.
Well, none of these are happening.
Yeah.
That is 100% true. I agree wholeheartedly on that. I think what jumped out at you as you went through it and looking back on it. One, I'll just throw that in there. Like, I think there's going to be a muddled up mess at 7. You guys don't seem to think so. I think there will be.
No, I mean, I think
there will be. I think there will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what jumps out to me is that the overwhelming likelihood that the Chiefs are going to be seeing a division opponent in the playoffs for the first time since Patrick Mahomes was quarterback here is that they're going to have to play a team for the 3rd time. And even if I don't think the Broncos are that great, My path, for example, has the Chiefs beating the Broncos twice, which, yes, I mean, if you parlayed that, the odds would be less than 50%. But if they beat the Broncos twice, that's going to increase the odds they have to beat them a third time.
Yes.
Because we're going to have to play them in the first round if that happens. Like, that's like.
Well, let's go over that right now. Let's go over the playoff games, what the first round of the playoffs game. Jeff's first round would be the Broncos hosting the Chiefs,
Yep.
Patriots hosting the Chargers, and the Ravens hosting the Bills.
I think we all have Ravens Bills, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It's why the Patriots better not slip up, by the way. It's not just one freebie win that you get for the bye. Your second round opponent is probably easier than your first round opponent is that the Bills will be facing.
Yes. Sam's playoff opening rounds. The Chiefs would host the Broncos. The Colts would host the Chargers, and the Ravens would host the Bills. My scenario has the Patriots hosting the Steelers, the Colts hosting the Chiefs, and the Ravens hosting the Bills. With Denver sitting and waiting. You've got New England waiting, Sam. Jeff's got Indianapolis sitting and waiting.
So the other thing we should do is so Jeff, your path for the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl, your 1 seed is the Colts. The 2 seed first. You've got them having to win in Denver, win Indianapolis, and then take your pick out of the Ravens, Bills, whoever gets through.
Ravens, Bills, Ravens, Bills, Pats.
Yeah. But I will say, before getting to that point, they better hope Jacksonville doesn't become what Soren thinks they can become through his exercise, because they lose the wild card tiebreaker to the Chargers, the Bills, and the Jaguars. And so if they're fooling around at 10-7, 11-6, they better need one of those teams to fall off.
I don't think there's any scenario that has a 10-7 Chiefs team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think they have to get to 11 wins. Do you agree with that, Sam?
No, I don't think the Jaguars are what you are. Like I said, I don't have.
But just between the Steelers, the Jaguars,
I've got
the
them all
Chargers.
I've got the Steelers and Jaguars at 8 and 9. I don't think those are.
That we're saying if the Jaguars are able to play up to what Soren thinks.
Yes, if the Jaguars are able to play it, yes. But that's what to me has to happen.
But if the Chiefs come down to 10-7, where are the losses? Right, that's my point. Then it's probably a loss to Houston. And is Houston hot and going?
Yeah, and it could be 9 and 8. You're right. Or I've dogged on the Broncos here, but I don't think the Broncos are terrible. The Chiefs could lose in Denver this weekend, absolutely, and that's a loss I don't have them on my tally for.
Yeah, but I agree with Jeff. They've still got to play the Colts. They've still got to play the Texans. They've already lost to the Jaguars. They've already lost to the Chargers. They've already lost to the Bills. So their tiebreaker scenario sucks. And so I think 10-7 is a recipe for disaster. I think they've got to get to 11 wins. But I will say this. So I didn't use it, but if they would win 12 games, and I thought this was interesting, the way I did it, nobody got to 13-4. In multiple team tiebreakers, they actually looked pretty good. They actually came out as the 1 seed and 12-5. And I would have told you they needed to go 8-0 to get the 1 seed, but they're actually dependent because of the inner workings. There's some scenarios with a multiple team tiebreaker where they look pretty good. And so they could actually get to the number 1 seed at 12-5, which is still requiring them to go 7-1. But I think we would all think that's a possibility. So that stood out to me. But Baltimore and Buffalo look like they are definitely going to play, or Baltimore and New England are definitely going to play, right? That looks like it's inevitable in that first round in Baltimore. That's tough for the Ravens, whoever they have to play there. And it's horrible for the other 2 teams that they're going to have one of the best records and they're going to have to go there. That jumps out at me. And then I think it's just a matter of, I think the Colts or Broncos, which one of them are more real? That's probably the realistic fight for the number 1 seed, unless you're right, Sam, unless it's New England. But I think Colts are Broncos. I think it's hot.
Yeah, I think the Colts are a better team, but like I said, they have the hardest schedule left in the NFL.
Is it really that hard?
Yeah, DVOA wise, they have the number 1 toughest schedule.
They have a lot of NFC West teams in there.
They've got at Seattle, they've got at Kansas City. They play, I think it was at Houston.
At Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's Jacksonville.
They have the whole divisions left. I think they haven't played they haven't played Houston.
Yeah, they played Houston twice, Jacksonville twice, but at the Chiefs, at Seattle. And look, I mean, you could argue the Chiefs and Seattle. I don't know. Jeff won't agree with this, but I think they're both like top 4 teams right now. When you look at maybe the Chiefs, Lions, Rams, and Seattle are teams I wouldn't want to face right now.
I would agree. They all. I would put Seattle at the bottom of that list, though. Are you buying Sam Darnold in the playoffs? I'm not.
Well, this is a regular season game, right? So I think Seattle looks pretty darn good right now.
I think they look really good. I cannot get out of my head what Sam Darnold looked like for the Vikings in the playoffs.
I mean, I was texting you guys mid-game. It looked so bad. So I agree with you on that. But I just like they're going to be underdogs in that game. Like Seattle will be favored in that game.
The Denver game is critical, right? If the Chiefs are going to get any kind of foothold, they have to win this game. And I'm with you, Sam. I just there's no world that has them winning the division without winning this game. None.
I agree.
None whatsoever. I don't see it. Anything else jump at you, Jeff? Right? When you do this and looking at it that you want to throw in there?
No, I think I was just there are going to be some good games coming up. I think throughout the AFC, some really good matchups are going to help decide this. I think the Ravens, those Ravens Colts game, those Ravens Patriots games, those Bills Patriots games, the Chiefs Colts game. I think the Chiefs Houston's game is going to be super important because I think Houston winning the way they won last week gave them a chance to get back into this thing. I think if they lose that game, then they're pretty much
agreed,
on thin ice. But now they've got renewed hope. It just shows you. I was telling somebody earlier today that this season reminds me a lot of 2000 when the Ravens won it, and Tennessee was the best team in the league that year, the best record, but the Ravens got in there with a bad quarterback, and the Giants got in there with Kerry Collins and Michael Strahan and that crew, and it was there were some good teams. Like the Vikings had this big offense and no defense. This feels like that kind of a year where it really doesn't matter if you've got all these big name quarterbacks. It's like, what's the team you got? And are you getting hot at the right time? I think that all these teams we're talking about that we're used to seeing could be there, or they could easily be upset in the playoffs. That's just what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it does look like it's pretty wide open. I agree with you. It does. We don't have, Eric Eager's formula like whose Super Bowl is it, right? Like they don't always win it, but like in 19 when the Chiefs won it, it was actually Baltimore Super Bowl. They were the it team, the one that everyone was talking about. And then they didn't get it done in the playoffs. Is there an it team right now? I mean, maybe the Rams will emerge.
But look, the betting market still ranked the Chiefs as the best team in the league. I think it's Chiefs, Lions, Rams, Seahawks are the top 3 or 4. So, but I agree with you. I don't think a team has separated themselves the way that we've seen over the past several years. But again, the Chiefs went 15-2 last year. None of us thought they were a 15-2 worthy team at that point either.
Just real quick on the betting market thing. Do you believe that the betting market is saying that because that's how they think the games are going to go, or is it because the Chiefs are an auto bet for people now? I know people in Vegas are like, the Chiefs are going to be there, and I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. The Chiefs are going to be there. They give no football thought to it. They just know this is what always happens, which I'm okay. We sit here and chop it up every week about this team. If Josh Simmons comes back and plays left tackle, Chris Jones can turn it up a notch. Blah, blah. We find all these little things. Okay, maybe they can get back to being that. But right now, I don't think they look like the it team. I think they're as vulnerable as they've ever been in the Mahomes era.
Yeah, I didn't mean Super Bowl favorite. I meant week to week. Where are they ranked? Like, who would they be favored against? On neutral fields, the Chiefs would be favored against every team in the league.
I think, but the answer I think is the same, and they are still, by the way, the betting favorite for the Super Bowl. Definitively, they're the betting favorite.
And that to me is actually taller odds because of the path that we just discussed. I agree with the Chiefs being betting favorite against everyone on a neutral field, and I still didn't pick them as the number 1 seed.
I think as it gets closer, even if the Chiefs are winning, you're going to see them start coming down. They may stay as the favorite, but I think the numbers will come down because the reality of this exercise will start to set in. When people can get their arms around 3 or 4 games at the end and see what it's going to take, then they'll be like, ooh, the Chiefs are going to, especially if the other teams are staying up there, they're probably going to be on the road. And when that sets in, there'll be a different view from the odds makers.
Sure. But by the way, I skipped over a team. The Ravens are actually the 4th team right now in the betting market.
How about, so what is it? Chiefs, then what?
Yeah, it's Chiefs, Rams, Lions. Rams and Lions are basically equal. Ravens, Eagles, and then you've got a kind of a three-way sandwich with the Packers, Bills, and Seahawks are all tightly bunched up there.
Why are the Eagles so low?
I like the Eagles. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know how I feel about the betting markets. I think it's always great when you want to make a point about how good how good you think your team is, and then when it's going the other way, it's like, oh well, they want the money moving, right?
Yeah,
want to get the money moving. It's like it can't be both. It's either one or the other. I just feel like the eye test says a lot more than what the betting markets say. I mean, as far as the Chiefs go, they're in third place. Like if they're in first place, it'd be a different conversation. But
I'll just say this: the betting Vegas doesn't like losing money, so they tend to rank them without the sharps having an advantage on them.
well, and part of that's because they're heavy on the Chiefs. People are hitting the Chiefs, and so they're putting less return on it, which makes them the favorite.
Yeah, I mean the Chiefs historically during the Mahomes era, especially since like 19, have not been great friends to bettors. So, look, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just talking about.
I think all of that is into the formula already. The Super Bowl odds, I think you've got a better argument for than maybe the week to week stuff.
Week to week, yeah. All right, that's our playoff projections. We've done it here at the halfway mark. Of course, we did it before the season. We'll see at the end of the season how well we did. You can always support the Red, Gold, and Bold by supporting our great sponsors, Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving Kansas City, nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Since 1994, they've been making parking lot problems disappear. Don't have liability, accidents, problems in your parking lot. Let Gann Asphalt and Concrete give you a perfectly smooth lot. Go to GannAsphalt.com. One contractor, all things parking lot. And, of course, for more than 40 years, Northland Injury Law has been serving Kansas City. Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. We're back at it on Friday, where we will break down the Chiefs and Broncos. Until then, for Jeff Chadia from the NFL Network, Sam McDowell, the Kansas City Star, I'm Saran Petra saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.